On a cold, cloudless night in January, I drove away from town and toward the mountains. Something in me had come undone, and I went in search of a way to mend what felt so broken. I didn't know what I was looking for, but the mountains had always been my faithful companions, silent giants that grounded me and reminded me of my space in the world. I drove in search of myself, parking my car high up on a hill overlooking a snowy open field, the mountains encircling me. I looked up to the blanket of stars stretched out above me. They felt so close and yet unimaginably far away. I held my gaze on those stars and I begged, please, please tell me what to do. Please save me from this life. I needed a miracle because my life had spun itself into something completely chaotic and out of sync. I was working as a partner in a law firm for a year at that time. I spent most of my energy chasing things I thought mattered: higher billable hours, bigger paycheck, more responsibility. I was trying to fill the holes in my soul with busyness and industry, and it felt unbearably inauthentic. The paper chase had left me distant from my husband and my children. I shut out the things whose attention pained me, reminded me of the ways I wasn't enough. I tried to convince myself if I got it all right on the outside, I would be okay on the inside. Of course, I knew that thinking was tragically misguided, but fear and insecurity kept me clinging to it. My soul craved something real, and so I needed a moment to search the stars and open my heart and plead for something sustaining to fill it. I had begged for change in that cold darkness, and change was coming, not in the package I was expecting, but in the package that was ultimately necessary. A month later, change showed up as an aggressive stage 3 breast cancer diagnosis. At age 33, with no genetic indicators or other preconditions, I was hit hard and fast with a life-altering do-or-die crossroad. I had 2 large tumors in my left breast, and the cancer had already spread to my lymph nodes. It was serious. It was going to require intense treatment, and the next year of my life would be spent fighting to survive. To make matters worse, I had launched my own law practice only 4 days before my diagnosis. I had signed contracts to build an office that would completely deplete our life savings. And as our family's sole income provider, we immediately spiraled into a long-term grading panic about how we would survive as a family and as a business. I didn't know it then because I didn't know what was coming, but looking back, knowing I would face serious and life-threatening complications, I can say it was a deeply painful, terrifying ride. I had awful complications from chemo, red, swollen skin, and an infection that wouldn't resolve, a blood clot in my heart the size of a golf ball. My flesh was cut open, there was holes punched through it. My skin was burned and wet from radiation. I underwent surgery to have both breasts removed, and I'll have reconstruction later this fall. But the hardest part was that nothing was ever certain. Not my health, not my finances, not my role as a mother or spouse. Everything was spinning around me, and I couldn't control any of it. I was a passenger on a train off its tracks, and cancer was the most difficult thing I have ever survived. But I am alive. Thank you. And it's not because I survived, it was because I was presented with a choice the day that diagnosis landed in my lap. I knew if I was going to fight to survive, I was going to fight to live. There was nothing I could do about the cards I was dealt, but I could sure play the hell out of that hand. From the outset, I decided to live a life that was brave and bold and beautiful. That was my cancer challenge. Not enduring the fight against disease, but in deciding to live life on my terms, even when I couldn't control anything. I created a fresh start in that surrender. I found the courage to shed what wasn't working, and I began dreaming about something better. Cancer was my moment to create a life that was whole and meaningful. I was presented with something extraordinary, and I believed that through it I could create something equally extraordinary. So I did. Not on my own, no. I had a love army. I started a blog shortly after my diagnosis as a way to keep in touch with family and friends. My writing soon became a way for me to sort through the pain and to create genuine connections with my readers. I wrote when I was feeling afraid. I wrote when I was devastated and feeling defeated. My little blog, Katie Over Cancer, soon grew, and it's now been viewed by over 99,000 people in 100 countries. I wrote with honesty and vulnerability. I put my suffering and my triumphs on display, and I committed to receiving and accepting everything those moments could teach me. And something else blossomed in that surrender, a connection, a shared experience. And the moments when I ran out of hope, when I couldn't find peace, my community showed up to hold me safe and inspire me. And that's what pain revealed to me. There is incredible beauty in this world. I have seen the darkest nights. I have been on the ground, unable to lift my eyes to the stars. And do you know what happened in those moments? Love happened. Love from all corners of the earth. People near and dear, old friends and new, family and even complete strangers offered their love and kindness to me. They saw I was hurting and they held me up. They gave of themselves so I would have pieces of them to hold me together. Little and big acts of love helped me survive. I'm just one person in the world, and yet the love I have received, the kindness and compassion that have been extended to me have changed the course of my life forever. When clouds came and kept those stars from my view, love stepped in and reminded me they were still there. Love soothed my soul and healed my wounds. Love inspired hope. Love restored faith. Love overcame the dark. Because of the love I received, I took back what cancer stole from me and I created more. I now live with purpose. I have the curiosity to find out who I really am and the courage to become that person. Love freed me from peddling perfection and allowed me to lean into the lessons pain and grief could teach me. I am here to remind you, never forget how powerful you are. Never forget what you have to offer to someone else's life and be brave in finding the power of love in your own life. Be bold. Give love freely. Ask for and accept love in. Never lose your faith and your significance in the world and in your ability to create change in your life and in others. Lean into love and always keep an eye on the sky.